Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Hard Truth. Thank you so much for watching. Today, I want to talk about some things that I will be addressing in my live tomorrow night, so make sure you tune in, okay? And that is the sheath has really taken our attention away from a lot of other things in the case, but I believe that Xana is the key to the timeline, and I believe that Xana is the key to who the killer is. All right, if you'd like to hear my take, grab that coffee or that nice cup of tea as we begin our story. I've already hypothesized that the Idaho 4 were already deceased at 4 o'clock. Okay, I'm just going to give you a few highlights from my live tomorrow night so that you can have your weapons ready, because I know some people are going to say, well, I have receipts. All right, I have receipts. First thing I want to talk about is that Xana's dad said he thought Xana and Ethan were at home by midnight. And so it's possible that he could have had the time wrong, but it's possible that Xana and Ethan were home a little earlier than what was said. All right. But the main thing I want to talk about is the fact that the PCA says Xana received a DoorDash at 4 a.m. And it also says that Xana was on TikTok maybe around 4:12. And so I want to debunk both of those, okay? The first thing we need to look at is this portion of the PCA that says that only Dylan and Bethany's forensic downloads on their phones were used to decide the timeline. For the longest, all we heard about was the DoorDash delivery for Xana, and Xana was on TikTok was on TikTok at 4:12. That's all we heard about the first month, okay? I literally was almost cursed to my name for saying that the DoorDash was fake. And I didn't believe there was ever a DoorDash, and that Xana was already deceased at 4 o'clock. Okay, well, if the DoorDash came at 4, it should be evidence on Xana or Ethan's phone that Xana ordered DoorDash. Okay, and if she was on TikTok, it should be a digital evidence of that on her phone. So why are we not using any of Xana or Ethan's digital data from their phones to determine the time of the murders? If the murders were from 4 to 4:25, and Xana received a DoorDash at 4 o'clock when Dylan claimed she woke up, and Xana was on TikTok at 4:12, why on earth are we not using Xana's forensic download information to say this is why the time of death is 4 to 4:25? I tell you why. Because only what they can prove in court, only what they're willing to, in order to say that Xana did these things, they will have to introduce Xana's phone into evidence. Okay? And so that means that the defense will be able to see her phone. Okay? And for some reason, they don't want to introduce Xana or Ethan's phone into evidence as far as the trial, I'm saying. They're saying they based the timeline only on what came off Dylan and Bethany's phones. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow night, what was on Dylan and Bethany's phones. But I am really just nipping it in the bud that there's no way that Xana received a DoorDash at 4 o'clock. You're saying the murders happened between 4 and 4:25. You saying you have testimony from one of the surviving roommates, quote unquote, but you're not including Xana's phone digital data as evidence of the timeline. If Xana didn't order the DoorDash, where did the DoorDash come from with her name written on it? So if the DoorDash was fake, and so was the post, the TikTok post, then maybe Xana is the target. Okay? Let's think about that. The fact of the matter is, Xana and Kaylee were the only two with enough game to really be a part of the drug game out of all of the girls that lived at that house. And Kaylee had moved out. So Xana's the only one left that really had that level of maturity to be able to, you know, handle, drug trafficking or any kind of trafficking, really. And so we have to look at the fact that Xana could have been the target. And I heard somebody say something about the calling card being the DoorDash bag. Really, I can see that happening. I can see that being the case. I really can, because who went to the trouble? Who would go to the trouble of going all the way to Pullman to Jack in the Box to get, a bag of food to be able to leave her name on it if she didn't order it? Why aren't Kaylee and Maddie's phone forensics being used to establish the time of death? Okay, there's been some discrepancies about when Kaylee and Maddie got home. We need to know for a fact when they got home. And all we know is they took a ride from somebody on Main Street. And I don't know if they have any of that on film, them actually getting into someone's car. But all we know is they disappeared off Main Street. Okay, when did they get home? Okay, when exactly did they get home? And why isn't that a part of this 4 to 425 theory? Okay, I mean, it needs to be a part of it. We need to know when everybody got home. All right, and Katie is on her phone constantly on the cameras. And so whoever she was talking to, I'm sure their phone records should have been pulled. Okay, where were they while they were talking? I'm just saying Maddie and Kaylee's phone records aren't being considered either in the PCA. The only thing that they are using for this 4 to 425 timeline is Dylan's statement about seeing an intruder. Okay? Dylan and Bethany's phones and the suspect vehicle footage from around the neighborhood. These are the only three things that they're using, all right, to determine the time of the crime, the time of death. I want you to think about that. And then we'll discuss this in my live. All right. Thank you so much for taking the time to stop by. Much love to you. Thank you for all the likes, shares, and donations. God bless, and I'll see you tomorrow.